Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's old school. That's old school now. All right, now we're gonna turn the music down a little bit. I know I'm a couple days late, but hey, Uncle Charlie got bills he got to pay too. So when the man says you got to work, you got to work. How you doing, folks? It is almost around the 6:30 time, and you are watching Uncle Charlie's Corner. We got my man Dog back there on the board, and my God, folks, if you have not listened to some of his musical videos here on UDR Productions, you definitely have to. How you doing, Asia? How you doing? Uh, Folks, it is just tremendous with a lot of things that have been happening in the news. We know that our Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, I believe she's just left the New Haven area. She visited the Boys and Girls Club in New Haven earlier today, and she also went and visited a kids center after school program where young children are taken care of when their parents are working in West Haven. And I had a little bit of a privilege to watch some of that on the news when I got home. And it seems like those little ones, they really liked being there around the vice president, and it looks like the feelings were multiplied by her, because it looks like she truly enjoyed herself too. They had one little girl that just stood up. My fiance and I were just laughing. She was like, "And this is Aisha, and this is Kimberly, and this Karen, and this." I was like, she took she took the class over from the teacher, and Dr. Miguel Cardona, I want to say it right now, he's from Connecticut, who is our new Secretary of Education. That's right, they had to come back to the Constitution State to get some good people. And also, they had to come towards Boston Way to get the Secretary of Labor. And oh my God, that's another story. And it's going to obviously coincide with what we're going to be talking about for a short while tonight. And this being Women's History Month, the month of March, all right, and the last Thursday, or the first show that we're going to do on Women's History Month. And I picked out, people think it's going to be the same women that you always see honored throughout history, like in Black History Month. It's like always seems like, yeah, well, Martin Luther King had a dream, and his wife Coretta Scott King, she took up that dream after he passed away, and then you also had Rosa Parks. She she didn't want to give up her busing. No. I'm sorry, I'm 56, but there are a lot of women in this country, a lot of women of color, all right, who have brought this country forth. And a couple of women that I'm going to talk about today have been brought forth on the stage of this administration. Also, because of the works that they have done before in the past, that they had been honored. One of them, truly, I shed a tear when I saw her name, because she was just such a great athlete, but I don't want to give it away. But we're going to start off, obviously, with a biblical quote, and we're going to James on this one, James chapter 1, and we're going to start off with verse 11. Blessed is the woman that endureth temptation, for when she is tried, she shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. And also a couple of other quotes that I get from a biblical app that I have on my phone. Everyone who hears will laugh over me, and that's Genesis 21-6. Also from Genesis 18, verse 14. Why does Sarah laugh with joy? Because God has surprised her beyond her wildest dreams. He had proven that nothing is too hard for him. And one also from Genesis 21:1. Though a barren woman far beyond her childbearing years, the Lord visited Sarah as he said, And the Lord did to Sarah as he promised. He gave her a son. Those of you who are sons like me, we're going to be honoring not only our mothers and our grandmothers and great grandmothers and aunties, and we're going to be honoring all women, because whoever played an important part of your life and your development and the person that you are today, I can guarantee you it was a woman that was responsible for it. You know, dog, I'm gonna say that again, because some tells me that there are still guys that might be messing around with their phone or playing whatever video game, you know, even though they got us on. Whoever made you the person that you are today, if you are successful and you are helping others, and if you're successful in whatever you do, I'll just put it that way, I can guarantee you it was a woman that helped lead you down the path to success. Yes. Now, I know that there's also a flip of the script on that, but we're not going to talk about that, folks, because the majority of women in our lives make our lives great. Those of us who are lucky enough, or blessed enough, I should say, to be fathers, obviously it was a woman that gave birth to your child or children. Those of us who needed inspiration at a particular time in our lives when our heads were either hanging down or we just did not know who to turn to, or we needed a word of inspiration, maybe a biblical quote, or maybe a story to make us laugh. Most of us turn to our moms. Sure. If we wanted to hear a story about what grandpa was doing or what uncle was doing one particular night, it was usually that voice that would come out the kitchen during the house. Oh, I could tell you what he was doing. I was there. I knew everything. And she would proceed to make your uncle bury his head and say, it didn't happen that way. I swear it didn't happen that way. So the ones that made you laugh, the ones that made you chuckle, those of you out in YouTube land, we're talking to you this evening. And I got one more thing to tell you too, folks. All right, I want to get this out there. For the month of April, which is Donate Life Month, we're not only going to be coming to you on YouTube land, we're also going to be coming to you Facebook Live. Okay? So I want you to tell all your friends and all your neighbors and all those people that might have watched us in the past but have turned away or strayed, tell them to come on back, because there's some good things happening today. Our producer, Dog, has our business cards all printed up. So those of you who are interested in doing business with UDR Productions Gold Love Team, go to our YouTube subscription page. Press subscription. Press like. All right. We want you to like us now too. All right. Got to know what you're getting. All right. And please leave a comment. And we will send you a photostat of the card, or we could meet you because it does have all of our numbers on it. Okay. Or you can go to ShowKid, SHOKID 08 at gmail.com. Again, that's ShowKid 08 at gmail.com. Or you can go to transplant 112013 at gmail.com. That is my email address, and you could just ask for me, little old Uncle Charlie. That's going to be on the next. Well, how come I didn't make the first cut? Oh, no, we won't get into that. No, we all work, folks. We all work either here for ourselves and for your entertainment, or we are working for the man. So those of you who got your stymie checks, like we said last time, Go out there, take those stimulus checks, pay your bills now. Pay your bills, all right? But make sure that you or your significant other or your wife or husband and your children go out and do things. The weather is beautiful out there. It was really nice today here in New England. And I'll tell you, myself and my love, we went out and had food and just rode the highways and byways today, up and down Connecticut, taking care of some business too. But we just really enjoyed ourselves. It's something like, and I'll tell you real quick, it's like people lost their minds because the fact is it was so nice and everything like that. And so many of us were on the road. And those of you who have been inside because of the COVID, be nice. Be nice now. Hello there, Leslie. How are you? How are you, dear? Please be nice, okay? We know that some people have to get back to the rules of the road, okay? I kind of blame myself too because I got a little bit annoyed with a couple of people behind the steering wheel that I said should have stayed home. Or you wonder where they got the driver's license from. But you have to be a little bit patient with these people. They are getting back and getting out and looking around and feeling the sun up against their face, and they're all happy. And they kind of lose their minds when they pull out of their driveways. So let's be conscious of that too. Okay, folks, Women's Month, the last Thursday of this show, but the first, hopefully, of very many. We're going to talk about Women's History Month. And the first thing I'm going to go to is right here in the East, in a little old city that's about 2.5 hours up the road, called Boston, Massachusetts. Those of you who remember Boston, Massachusetts, it is also what we call one of the gateways of New England. It's obviously where the Boston Celtics play. It's also known for their great universities and institution of learning, MIT being one of them, Harvard University, Boston College. Great and brilliant programs. My cousin Gertrude was the first female Black coach or woman of color, Trudy Fisher from Stanford. Matter of fact, if you go back to, I believe it was 1999, Ebony Magazine, I believe it was September or October month, she was in that. Those of you who like to do research. But Gertrude Fisher, product of Stanford, Connecticut.
Keisha's on the line.
Hello, Keisha. How are you? How are you? Welcome, dear. Welcome. Nice to always see you out there. And I did see your show. I saw your messages. God bless you, hon. And you probably even know who I'm about to talk about. Folks, the first female, it doesn't make a difference how she got to the office. Those of you in politics know if your boss steps down and you are second in line, you get the office of mayor. Well, Boston, Massachusetts made history the other day and not elected, but Kim Janney has been sworn in as the acting mayor of Boston. Like I said, making history as the first Black person and the first woman to lead the city. Janney, who was on the city council, was their president, automatically replaced Democrat Marty Walsh after he resigned on Monday to be Joe Biden's labor secretary. So we also wish him good luck, but this is the month of the woman. But because of him giving up his seat, he helped a woman of color become the first in that city. And they are going to have a mayoral race in November. And she'll have to decide whether she's going to run against 5 other candidates, all who are people of color. Now, those of you who are around my age, 56, 57, you all will remember Boston was also a city that was highly segregated. And it was one of the first cities where busing was tested. And believe me, it was not a pretty sight back in the 70s. If those of you who like movies like me, there is a movie which one of the first scenes, it shows how some of the residents of Boston acted when that city brought the institution or tried to bring busing about. And it was not about trying to take away your choice of your child going to school in a neighborhood school. It was about bringing children together and giving opportunities to ones that had not had the same opportunities in their school districts. We know that certain communities are dumping grounds and they don't care about certain children of color being educated or learning the necessary skills to deal with in life. So Kim Janney has her work cut out for her. I do remember one particular picture when I was in elementary school, and it was looking, they had a black man who was a lawyer. Maybe some of you remember this too. It was on the cover of Time magazine. His hands were held out like this, and another person had the American flag, and he was stabbing him with it.
Oh, wow.
So when I hear about things going on today, and I didn't want to dwell on it, but when I hear about all these to the innocent people of Atlanta that were shot, our prayers and our condolences are with those families, and the same thing out in California with the supermarket, where those victims were killed unnecessarily. I've been around a long time, folks.
Mhm.
And if I'm skeptical about certain things, it's for a reason. I constantly say time after time, what's the next tragedy going to do? Is it going to finally wake these people up? And it probably isn't. It really probably isn't. So don't think that Biden or Vice President Harris is going to change the money that's being spent by the gun lobby to quote unquote keep your rights. I've said it before on a previous show of mine that there is no reason for the private ownership of any assault weapon. An assault weapon is built to kill. That is why they are preferred weaponry of the military. You cannot hunt with an assault weapon. There will be nothing left of the carcass. I'm sorry. That's it. It's used to shoot to kill. That's it. You can't kill a deer with it. You can't kill a bear with it. You can't kill a rabbit with it. So to all those gun nuts out there, get that shit out of your mind right now. You know that you would not eat a rabbit that was shot with an assault weapon. You'd be eating bullets or metal pellets, whatever. I mean, and it truly is going to have to be an act of God. So all I can say is just pray on that one, because really these people, and one of their own got shot. I'll never forget when Reagan was shot. And at first they didn't think he was shot. They didn't really know he was shot until they were on their way to the hospital and they saw a little bit of blood on his shirt. But when the press secretary, I think his name was Brady, the Brady bill, when he was shot and basically was paralyzed and only had could not talk, it was very tragic. They didn't even look out for their boy. So why do you think that they're going to care about children being killed or essential workers, which these people were, because they worked in the supermarket? It is still the pandemic going on. You got to get your food from someplace, and somebody has to stock it, or somebody has to ring it up at the register, put it away, take it out to your car, and some nut with a gun that he bought the day before killed those innocent people. Doesn't make sense. But Kim Janney, I love it. She said that today is a new day. I stand before you as a woman and the first Black mayor of Boston, in the city that I love. Janney, a Democrat, said Wednesday during the City Hall event, I come to this day with life experience that is different from the men who came before me. Another moment of history was Justice Kimberly Budd, who became the first Black woman to lead the state Supreme Judicial Court in 2020, administered the oath of office during the ceremony, presided over U.S. Representative Ariana Presley, the first Black woman to serve on the city council and to be elected to Congress from Massachusetts. Jenny called them part of a long line of Black women in our city who have broken down barriers. Jenny, 55, said 6 generations of her family have lived in Roxbury. Her grandfather, Daniel Benjamin Janney, was a member of the 12th Baptist Church, where Martin Luther King Jr. worshiped while attending Boston University. Her father was one of only 8 Black students to graduate from the city's prestigious Boston Latin School in 1964. Another thing that was great in that year, that I was born in November. I just had to throw that. But I was born to a woman. The Reverend Willie Broderick II, senior pastor of the 12th Baptist Church, delivered the invocation at her swearing in. Jenny said that she was first called to give back to her community by volunteering on the campaign of Melvin King, the first Black person to run for mayor of Boston. Now here I am making history of my own, she said, to paraphrase Vice President Kamala Harris. Every little girl watching today can see that Boston is a city of possibilities. I have to say that it was another young woman that I grew up with that beat cancer. I'm not going to mention her name because of privacy issues. Well, I can mention her first name, Stephanie. She apprised me of that story and that now the mayor is a neighbor of hers. She lives in the neighborhood, but she's got a daughter that is doing great things in that city, not only athletically, but scholarship and educationally wise. She's very, very smart young girl, and she's only 13 years old. I mean, I'll tell you, the opportunities that are given to young women today, and I think you might not like what I'm about to say, but I think you all need to thank the 4 years that a certain person was in office and left on January 20th of this year, because the day after he was elected, if I remember correctly, Doug, they all got together in the great city of Washington, D.C. And I know there was 1 million of us in 1995, but there had to be about 2 million of those women, maybe more. And they said that they were going to be about change, and they were about change. They put their mouths and their votes. So my mom always told me, you cannot mess with a woman who has got something on her mind. And when she pulls up, when she gets her pocketbook and she gets her book underneath her arms, especially that Bible, man, you in trouble. Hey, there's not a church you can't go to, man. If the pastor doesn't have certain women in his corner,
That's true.
the pastor's not going to be successful.
I agree.
Okay, it's just what it is. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, we're great and we're spiritual and everything like that, and we believe in the Lord. But let's get serious now. Sometimes if there's a game on, and this was before DVR or anything like that, matter of fact, one of my old pastors, I'll never forget. Now I'm an elk, and one of my old pastors always said, I got to get me some more of them elks. Because as long as I know these brothers are going to be here during football season, I know when to schedule certain programs and when not to schedule certain programs. But my men are here when I call them to duty. Okay, but again, we're talking about the women. And the first thing that this president started, and I have to say it that way because it's the truth. What he decided to do when he put together the COVID task force, the COVID-19 task force,
Yes.
where we're basically, he wants to do 2 million shots in the arm now by May 1st, by his first 100 days, excuse me. He put the vice president in charge of the transition team and transition team to tackle the virus. Obviously, he kept Dr. Fauci, but they decided to go up the road back here in little New England. Okay, and they got a Dr. Nahid Batalia, an infectious disease physician and medical director of special pathogens unit at Boston Medical. And she said, you don't see injustices and you don't see barriers unless you understand the point of view that you're trying to represent. She recounted learning that a lesson from former Surgeon General David Satcher during a speech he made in Boston's Faneuil Hall. And it came to her mind when she saw the list of people named to Biden's advisory board. He said, it's not just where you sit at the table, but it's what you bring to the table. And these women that he brought to the table were leaders in their field. Dr. Marcella Nunez-Smith, an expert on healthcare equity, for marginalized communities, is one of 3 co-chairs on Biden's transition COVID advisory board. Also included is FDA and National Security Council veteran Luciano Borio, HIV and tuberculosis expert and former New York City Department of Health Assistant Commissioner Dr. Celine Grounder. Also, Dr. Julie Morita, Executive Vice President of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and former head of Chicago's Department of Public Health. And Lois Pace, she was director and president of the Global Health Council. There are some more which I'm going to mention, but do you see where I'm going from here? If he wanted to start the ground running and he wanted to bring in women, Chicago, New York, Boston, major cities, who sometimes will have health problems in their cities. He didn't go to Tucson, Arizona. He didn't go to somewhere in Colorado or Wyoming or Oregon. Not saying that these cities don't have or states have underlying health problems, but he went to major hubs. Okay, remember, New York City. What does New York City have? It has airports.
Yes.
It has people coming in from all parts of the world. Now we have a strain of a virus that's coming in from England, South Africa. It's supposed to be worse than Corona, the second phase of Corona, or Corona new and improved. That's why they say it's so important to get this vaccine in you, to get it in you. Stop, and I might use some cuss words tonight because it gets me so angry when I see a lot of nonsense and I see a lot of things on Facebook and out there on social media that are not true. Stop listening to that idiot in Florida. He's not in office for a reason. More people, that's right, legitimate voters, voted his ass out of office. And he was voted out for a reason. He could sulk, he could bury his head. He did not know what the hell he was doing when he was running this country. Some things I will give him credit for. He did get those pharmaceutical companies to get this vaccine on board. And he cut through all the red tape. I'll give him credit for that. But I won't give him credit for the reason that he was the one that pulled us out of the World Health Organization in the first place. We would have got to jump on this. People wouldn't have had to wear a bunch of masks. People wouldn't have had to been in their houses. People wouldn't, like me, wouldn't have had to lost their jobs. You wouldn't have had to get stimulus checks. You probably would have made more money on your job because you would have had a job. You would have had more experience. But getting back to these great women that he pulled out of all different fields of the medical profession in the public advocacy, public health profession. Jane Hopkins, a former executive vice president of SEIU, who was trained as a nurse specializing in mental health. Jill Jim, executive director of the Navajo Nation Department of Health, who has a lot of health problems, but our native or people that were native to this country. Those 7 women are working with 9 men to hone the Biden administration's approach to eradicating COVID-19. We cannot forego the important work that needs to be done between now and then to get our country through the worst wave yet in this pandemic, to reduce the spread, to save lives. Biden announced in a task force meeting last month. I live in a senior disabled complex. And the person that runs the complex has no idea what the hell she's doing. Now she comes out with a memo. Well, I call it a day late and a dollar short. Brought a new person in from a different state to try to get a grasp of. It's not only her, but it's got to be others. But for the people that are there, for people who cannot get out of their homes, because people like myself, I do have a car. Most of you see, I don't look like a person that had a heart transplant. My medical team consists of a lot of female doctors from Yale Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut. That's right. A woman gave birth to me. A woman saved my life through heart transplantation. And it's a bunch of women that are keeping Uncle Charlie going. Not only my fiance, which she does a wonderful and beautiful job, Darlene, she's godson, but there's also female doctors that are keeping me going too. You see how those of us who lost that important part of our lives, either our mothers or aunties or grandmothers, whoever raised us, even when they're up there, they still take care of us down here.
Yes.
My mother always knew that I'm a Scorpio, so I'm stubborn. And it was usually my aunt, Lily Fisher, who raised me, was my second mother until, unfortunately, God decided to take her home, and my grandmother, and so many beautiful women that have been a part of Uncle Charlie's life in the city of Stamford, Connecticut. And even when she was brought home, they still checked on me. They still checked on me when I was not doing good. Hey, how you doing? Atoli, hey, how you doing, brother? God bless. It's. I'll put it this way: who do guys, especially if they're playing in sporting events, who is the first one that they shout out and they say hello to? Hi, Mom. Right? It's not Dad. Now, dad might have been the one to take them to football practice or practice with them baseball or basketball or whatever, or the uncle. You throw the ball around with them since they're little, teach them how to box and every other thing like that. But when you get that moment in the spotlight, it's your mother that you thank first.
That's true.
But let's not leave dads out of this one. And it's the only time I'll bring you into Women's History Month, because dads are also the first one to take you to get your first Mother's Day card, or your first basket of flowers, or your mom's first birthday gift, or on her birthday to walk into the bedroom with that cup of coffee and that messed up piece of toast that's burnt and everything like that. But the fact is that you made it for your mama. Your mama loves you to death for it. It's your dad that makes sure that you do that.
Yes.
When I had my daughter, when I was married and everything like that, and I passed that on to my daughter. We don't have the greatest relationship, but that's another show topic. But the fact is, and that has more to do with divorce, children that suffer from divorce. But growing up, that's what I teached my child, or taught my child. Always honor your mother. It doesn't make a difference what happens with mommy and dad. You always honor your mother. Your mother was the one that gave you birth.
True.
And my ex-wife did go through some health problems. We lost two in Samantha. We called her Miracle Baby. But the fact is, I never, ever let her go through an argument or go through a holiday or a birthday or anything without saying to her mother, happy birthday, I love you, Mom, or Mom, I'm sorry I yelled at you or anything like that. Because your mom is always going to be in your corner. I don't care when you see these guys out here on TV thinking that they're the baddest men on the planet, and this and that, until they're put in handcuffs for something stupid that they did. But the mom, I didn't do it. They're shouting for mom. Dad don't want to hear nothing. I told you don't be there in the first place. I told you stop hanging out with them people. And look what you know what is now. You know, it's easy to get into trouble. It's very hard to get out of it. That's the one thing I was always taught. But getting back to women, as I said, President Biden picked some powerhouse women of this COVID council. And I'm just going to read you something about Dr. Marcella Nunez Smith. I said before, she's one of the three co-chairs of the advisory board. The COVID-19 pandemic has disproportionately affected Blacks and Latinos in the United States, with infection rates and deaths among people of color far surpassing the rates of their white counterparts and exceeding their share of the population. Dr. Nunez Smith is an associate professor of medicine and epidemiology at the Yale School of Medicine. Oh, what did Uncle Charlie just say about female doctors and women doctors? Oh, she's also the associate dean for health equity research there and a founding director of the Equity Research and Innovation Center. The numbers are really striking, Bedelia, who is also an MSN contributor, said about Black and Hispanic death in case rates, which we have remained disproportionately high since April and to continue to exceed their population share. It comes from valid reasons, both the structural racism that exists in our healthcare system currently, but also the historic scars of our own government's experimentation on the African-American community. And we all know about the 1930s study for syphilis that was done, which was called the Tuskegee experiment. And that had to do with syphilis on Black farmers. So yes, there is a lot of dissension in communities of color when it comes to mistrust of certain vaccinations in certain medical studies. But this one, folks, this one didn't discriminate. It might have hit communities of color a little harder, but it hit across all races. Let's not get stupid on this one. A lot of people were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. I've known over 100 people that passed away from this deadly disease last year, and probably going to bury a few more. I hope not, now that this vaccine is out there. But people got to stop believing the bullshit. All right, take the vaccine. I put it this way: you don't want to die a COVID death. I know myself receiving a transplant. I remember being in that hospital, only having 9 to 12% of my heart working. Sometimes it was very tough to breathe. That's nothing from what I've heard compared to a COVID death. See, I was only incubated after I got my heart transplant. You're incubated the whole time. Sometimes they don't even know if you're going to make it through the night. You don't want to have to talk to your relatives through a window. It's bad enough that we're just getting out. But you can't see your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your family. You can't touch a cat or a puppy. The touch of a flower against your face, the touch of the wind or the sun beating across your face. I had a friend of mine that lost his mother. His mother was an excellent, excellent athlete. She was a senior Olympian. And for those of you who do not know what that means, in her senior years, she worked out in the Senior Olympics. Just like the Olympics, except there are people of advanced age who are in this. And they travel all over the country and all over the world. And his mom was a shot putter. No, she just wasn't shot putting like 2 pounds or anything like a soda can. No, she threw some weight across the field. She went to Newark Airport, flying in. She didn't feel well. They took her to the hospital there in Jersey. Had to transfer her there. Had to transfer her to Norwalk. About a day and a half later, she was gone. Gone. Lady who was strong as a bull. This COVID does not discriminate. I know we have to get the information out there more in communities of color. And believe me, for all that we have known about this since March of last year, I lost my job on the 17th, and we heard about this in February, beginning of February. My complex should have had information out there then. Ass out then, gloves. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. But the fact is, when you got an idiot running the mental ward, of course, you're not going to take care of things you and me know are important. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that you have to take care of your health. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that when it snows and you have elderly people, you walk the property every morning and make sure that there are no obstacles so that they can either get to their bus or they can get to their medical ride, or they can just walk out and get some air to be able to participate in life fully. I saw a troubling story about a young woman who lived in Waterbury who had to live with mice. Damn near a year. Mice going all over the mice just moved in. That's all it was. And HUD knew about it. They knew about this. But because the fact is that she was considered a troublemaker, they did everything that humanly possible to try to evict her, to try to squeeze her, to make it out that she was a bad tenant, that she was a bad neighbor. that she was just some kind of crazy person. And all this person just wanted was an apartment that she could pay the minimum amount of rent or whatever it was and just live like a human being, not have to live with an infestation of rats, roaches, and mice. And finally, I'm glad to say that the NAACP heard about this story because the woman complained to them and they took up to bat for her. That's what you do, folks. You look out for each other. You don't try to make each other's lives miserable. You've heard me talk about the first Black woman of the city of Boston, what her background was. You've heard me now talk about these ladies who President Biden, before he became the president and after, all these women that he brought in to help get rid of this pandemic. He still kept the point, man, because he's been there, God knows how long Dr. Fauci's been there. But he brought in ones that had specialities, that they knew specifically how to deal with certain situations because they've done it before. They've done it in their own communities. It's not rocket science, folks. Yes, I know sometimes when you go to the emergency room, you don't think that a doctor's listening to you. And I used to think the same thing. And I've said it before, and you're going to hear me say it plenty of times on this show. There are certain questions they ask you not to be invasive or not to want to know all about your life, or they're trying to find something out about you. No, they want to know your medical history, because the more they know about your medical history, the better that they can control the situation so it won't happen again. So they can get a grasp on it. My grandfather died at 47. He went blind. He was bedridden. He had diabetes and heart disease. I'm going to turn 57. Hopefully, praise God. Not only with my transplantation, but if God decides he's going to keep me around a little bit longer, that means I got a great shot of being around here a pretty long time. Trying to help my community, trying to help people that I love. Because obviously, you guys know I must love to talk and educate. Gotta love what you do. And I don't get paid for this. This is something I've been doing for years. It's just that these guys pulled me out of retirement. But I'm still somewhere in the background, somewhere, either helping with voter registration or talking to young kids about voting. But these are leaders. I'm sorry. The other lady, I don't have a picture of, unfortunately. But these women of color, they're leaders. And it's not just women of color, folks. There are also other women that are out there leading the way in fighting, because this is Women's History Month. It's just that this particular network, we deal mostly in people that are inspiring, okay? People that might look like you or me, okay? And I know that Darlene and I were looking at that little young girl as she was going around again, playing, and this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. And I think the vice president finally had to say, she's got to come be president one day. But she's saying it from experience. Because if you remember, during the presidential debates, and I probably think there's one reason she's on that ticket. She was on that ticket last year is because there was a question that was asked when it came to busing. Yes, even in this time and age in 2020. And Kamala Harris talked about her being the product of the first busing situation in her particular community where she grew up. Her and her sister. that they were bused to another community, and they had to hear shouts and they had to hear negative tones, so much like you're hearing today. But you see how it inspired them. Their mother was a person who worked hard. I believe she was in the medical profession. I think. Um, I know she was. I know she was Indian and Asian, and the father was African American. But the fact is that she saw it from a hardworking mother's point of view, a woman that inspired her, so that she can go on and become what she is today. I'm pretty sure nobody told her that she was going to be an attorney. She showed them. I'm pretty sure nobody told her that she was going to work in the district attorney's office. She showed them. I'm pretty sure somebody told her she wasn't going to be the district attorney of the state of California, but she showed them. That's what a mother can do to you, inspire you. And I'll give you another example. Some folks might not like it, but I don't care. I love history. Rose Kennedy. Rose Kennedy had 13 children. It's kind of funny. I'm in the state of Massachusetts today. Rose Kennedy had 13 children. Her husband was Joe Kennedy. Joe Kennedy was basically the wonder boy, all right, of the stock market. Everything he touched turned to gold. And a lot of the rules are established today is because Joe Kennedy is the one who established them, because the fact is he knows how he made his wealth and other people. And that's a topic for a whole different story. But she kept those children inspired. She kept those children knowing the love of God. They said Bobby Kennedy, if he did not become an attorney himself, he might have been a priest because of his love of God. But all of those Kennedy children knew that they had a responsibility with not only being wealthy like they were, but they had a responsibility to their community and to the country that they lived. And that's why a lot of those kids serve in public service. I know we like to talk about scandals. Nobody likes to see somebody on top or doing well. But those people have triumphed over adversity. Oh, yes, they've had a hell of a lot of misery. Eddie Kennedy, he should have been president, yeah. But the fact is, God had different plans for his life. He had a beautiful career in the Senate, wonderful career in the Senate. Sure, they had personal problems. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? What's that old quote, dog? Those without sin cast the first stone.
Cast first stone. That's right. Nobody could throw.
And I know some of you out there, you're still thinking that you're better than somebody. And what was that one show that we talked about? Skeletons in your closet. You better hope a bone don't come flying out of your closet. Hey, I know I got some bones in mine, but the fact is, there ain't no skeletons lying around. Me and God discussed it a long time ago. All right. And I know people try to use things against me and go ahead, take your best shot. I've been dead 3 times. What the hell are you going to do to me? No. And I'm still preaching the love of God. All right. There's another young lady, a young lady of color, and I'm going to show you her picture. Her name is Aquafina. That's her stage name. Okay? Those of you who know her by that do not know that her Christian name was Nora Lum. And Nora Lum grew up in Stony Brook, New York. She went to Fiorello LaGuardia High School, then went to the University of Albany, SUNY. Her years active in her chosen profession, which is not only acting, producing, writing, and one hell of a comedian. She really is. She actually is a rapper too. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube. I'm not going to say what was the hit that brought her uh, to fame, so to speak. But it's if you go to YouTube and you type Aquafina in the search engine, you will find out the rap song that she did. But she released her debut album, Yellow Ranger, in 2014, appeared on the MBT comedy series Girl Code from 2014 to 2015. Her second album, In Fina We Trust, was released in 2018. She's played supporting roles in comedy films like Neighbors 2, which I saw was funny, Sorority Rising, Ocean's 8, another good film, Crazy Rich Asians, which basically put her on the board. Those of you who might not have seen that movie, watch it. It is funny. Jumanji, The Next Level, which is basically Jumanji 2 with The Rock, and The Farewell. She also won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture or Comedy Musical for that. And she was also nominated for a BAFTA. And may I also say that she is the voice of Sisu in Reina and the Last Dragon, which came out this year, which is also on Disney and released in certain theaters. She's a co-creator and writer and executive producer on Comedy Central's show. Aquafina is Nora from Queens, which basically is going on now. It's basically a fictionalized version of her life. Her grandparents, when they came to this country from Korea, okay, they operated a Asian or Chinese restaurant called Lums. Okay, Cantonese, excuse me, I got to be politically correct. Cantonese restaurant in Flushing, Queens. It was one of the neighborhood's first Chinese restaurants. Okay, she also, the reason she adopted the stage name Aquafina was she was trained in classical music and jazz. That is one thing I did not know until I read this before. She also majored in journalism and women's studies at the University of Albany, state of New York. She states that Charles Bukowski, Amos N., Joan Didion, Tom Waits, and Chet Baker were her early influences prior to her entry into entertainment. And yeah, we talked about her hip hop album. She was profiled in a 2016 documentary, Bad Rap, which was an official selection of the 2016 Tribeca Film Festival. And that was started by Robert De Niro, those of you who don't know. Okay. Wow, this has really been a great show, folks. But I have to let you know that the reason I did the show is because I ran into a picture of this young lady. And those of you who are my age grew up watching this lady. I'm going to show her a picture. Florence Griffith Joyner. And this show is dedicated to her. Flojo, as she was named, had some of the most spectacular tracksuits. All right, when she would run in events, she would have not the stuff that you see today. That's nothing. Okay, she set the trend. She had like one-legged tracksuits and everything, or bodysuits that they would call. Unfortunately, she still remained a pop icon. All right, but she suffered from seizures, from epilepsy. And man, it took her away from us in September 21st of 1998. And let me tell you, is one of the people that used to enjoy watching her run. Her husband was, I think his name was Jeffrey Joyner. He was another track star, but he was also her trainer. And Jackie Joyner Kersey was her sister-in-law, and we know what happened with her. But she made her debut in the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. And at the 88 trial, she really exploded and got 3 gold medals. The 100 meter sprint, she was like, oh my God, it was like the win. Okay. But Lord have mercy. Just so much about this young woman, and I really should have started off with this. But I'm going to put this link on my page. FloJo, yeah, she was a product of Los Angeles, California. Her father was an electrical engineer, and her mother was a seamstress, also named Florence. She was a product of the Watts section of Los Angeles. But it doesn't make a difference where you are born. It's what you do with your life. And FloJo traveled all around the world. The world was her oyster. She did it through athletics. But let me tell you, if you ever heard her talk, you would think that she was a product of one of these Ivy League schools or Howard or one of these historically black colleges because of the way that she conducted herself with such class, and have her taken away at such a young age was devastating to the track and field world. Everybody respected this young woman. I certainly know that I do. But folks, right now we're going to get ready to wrap it up. I really didn't think I was going to speak this long tonight. Yes, she was. FloJo was a beast. Yes, she was. Folks, next month is going to be National Donate Life Month. All right. Actually, it is for Donate Life, Honor and Organ and Tissue Donors, but it's going deeper into it because the fact is we're going to be talking to not only recipients like myself, we're going to be talking to families, all right, who decided to honor their loved ones' wishes or just donate their organs so that others could live. Remember, Donate Life is the gift of life, okay? We're going to talk to people from behind the scenes who talk to families in regards to that. It's just going to be a whole big affair. Hopefully, Doug and I will be able to conduct some of these interviews outside the studio with some of that equipment that he has so proudly showed us, folks. We're going to take this on the road, take the show on the road. But I want to say to those of you, that this is really on a serious tip. I have really enjoyed this first month of being here on the UDR network. I really have. It inspires me because the fact is, when you have something to do that not only inspires your life, but makes you very proud of what you do going back to work. Like I said, I'm going back to school this summer, doing this, also working, also making time for my fiance, for us to do things. It is very, very, sometimes it's very challenging and sometimes it's very hard. But when you do what you love to do, and this young man, the other week, I had gotten my fiance a dining room set for our apartment, and I couldn't fit the damn table. So I called Doc, and he came up, and I thank you very much for that, David. I really do. God bless you. Man, you really saved the day on that one, because the person I was dealing with at the store was it's tough for another show, folks. So I'll have to do another customer service people 102. But it really is inspiring to my sister Jacqueline in North Carolina. I love you. She's had a little bit of I don't want to say bad luck, but unfortunately, she lost part of her house to a fire, and they're in the process of rebuilding. And now that it's getting warmer, I know that they're going to start up again. And her and my brother-in-law Calvin and my great nephew, I said, God bless you all, and God is with you, and has brought you through trying times. And hopefully, with this COVID, I will finally be able to wrap my loving arms around both of you, because I haven't seen them. To be honest with you folks, since my dad died, our father died, and it's just one of those experiences. Yes, we appreciate Zoom. Yes, we appreciate the phone calls and everything, but it's something like just wrap. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right, family. It's all about family, folks. But like I said, here at the Uncle Charlie Show, we're concerned about you. If there's something that concerns you, not only about your community, but maybe about your neighbor, maybe somebody's not getting the point that they need to look out for their fellow neighbors, whether it be COVID, okay, whether it be food, whether it be because of where they live. Somebody is not doing their job. Well, damn it, we will make sure that they do their job. We will find out who the person is in charge, and we will camp out on their doorstep, just like what the NAACP and just like other organizations need to get on their JOB and make sure the people that they represent well. Because if you're not going to do your job, we're going to either vote your asses out, and that's right, I said it, we're going to vote your asses out, and we'll get somebody in there who wants to do the job right. Okay? Send your comments to UDR Productions at the end of every show, either to myself, Uncle Charlie's Corner, to MVP Show, to Dog's comments and topics when he plays his music, to Akeisha's show. We want to hear what you have to say, because remember, if you don't take care of you, ain't nobody else going to. But if we take care of each other, we're a more dangerous force in the world, and nobody's going to want to mess with you. And just remember this, folks. As we go through our third or fourth, I think it's the fourth day of Summer Dog.
Yeah.
You just remember this. Uncle Charlie loves you. Uncle Charlie's always going to be fighting for you. If you don't think what I said is true, Google it, because education is key. And remember, the month of April, starting next week, Donate Life, honoring organ, eye, tissue donors. And for those of you in the religious community, I wish you all a wonderful Palm Sunday. Go to church, praise God. I wish you all wonderful blessings. For the Uncle Charlie Show, we're out of here.
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed.
Gotta tell it like it is, man. We gotta step up the heat, brother. Step up the heat. Got too many good people out there that are suffering right now. And some of these politicians and executives, they just don't give a damn. We're gonna start calling names out pretty soon. Think I'm joking?
True. True indeed.
That's right. And the comments people made on this show are not those of UDR Productions. Those are of me, Little Charlie. Uncle Charlie's Corner, Charles E. Treadway III, my Christian name. I'm easy to find.
Yes.
But if you piss me off, I'm hard to get off your back.